All right, we're going to try this one more time. So I apologize for the caller and guest audio, but it's a little bit of a problem. So I got to work through it. Yeah. It should be. Yeah, the whole stream went down and that's not fair. That's so wrong. All right. What's going on, Gil? How are you? Let me ask you guys if you can hear this programming. Look at this. Yeah, if it's choppy and garbled, we're done, everybody. I'm just going to do the show. You're not going to be able to hear anybody over the phone, and we'll just go from there. So that's it. You can hear me good, right? You can hear my audio pretty good. Great. What a shame. It shouldn't be like this, but nothing I can do about it. Okay. Yeah, you're just going to be able to hear me. So make the best of it. Most of the guests I'm going to have are live, so you'll be able to hear them on this mic. But the ones over the phone, you won't be able to hear. And that's just part of this bullshit of having to be here and get this stuff done. So good to have everybody back. That's it. Paula Patro. Thank you for giving us that. I saw it. Yeah, it was pretty smart. I get it. Let's see that. All right, that's Seahawks Radio on the call. JT back with you as we are live from Radio Row at the Moscone Center in San Francisco. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody. If you just want to watch the feed, see some of our guests, you can go to YouTube at our JT the Brick page here. The audio is going to be a little bit choppy, but not from me, but from some of the guests over the phone. We want to thank Fred Volitnikoff, who just joined us. And, knowing Freddie over the decades now, close to 30 years, it's really cool that Freddie lived in San Francisco. And a lot of other great players did not live in San Francisco because the Raiders played in Oakland. And the Raiders obviously were set up in Alameda. But Freddie wanted to be a part of San Francisco and the culture and the lifestyle and everything else. So he lived in San Francisco and commuted. And that was some of the best years of his life. A lot of talk is that as soon as I hit Radio Row, I did a couple of interviews for the Raiders. You'll find all of the Raiders content. All of that content is on YouTube, on the Raiders page. I'll be bouncing back and forth the whole entire time and going over there. Earlier today, I interviewed Akbar Bajabia Miller, Baron Davis, who was over there. So we'll be moving back and forth with the Raiders content here for the rest of the week. The breaking news story is obviously Klint Kubiak, who is expected to be named head coach of the Raiders. What I'm going to try to do here most of the week, everybody, is jump on in and get opinions on him and what this could look like going forward. No one knows what it could look like going forward. But what I'm optimistic about and what I'm most excited about is that we're going to have a guy completely focused on the offensive side of the football with a brand new rookie quarterback, an elite tight end in Brock Bowers, and someone who can get Ashton Jeanty off the line of scrimmage, which is critical. Because if Ashton Jeanty is not getting to the hole and not getting to the hole and breaking runs of 20, 30 yards, 18 yards, then we're wasting this guy because he's super elite. And last year, the Raiders could not scheme up the ability to get Ashton Jeanty going at any point in time because Ashton Jeanty was just getting blown up all the time behind the line of scrimmage. Guru, great to see you. And now we have something brewing where this coach, I think, is going to scheme the running game. I want to know from some fans, do you want to see a fullback signed to this roster? A fullback that can come in and potentially help open up holes, or do you think a new offensive line can do that on their own? And I think the new offensive line is going to be so important going forward that the Raiders are going to they must get 2 new offensive linemen and figure out how to get another developing offensive lineman to play with Jackson Powers Johnson and play with Colton Miller. Now, the one thing about Colton Miller, and I hope we bump into him this week, is he hasn't been healthy. And if Colton Miller isn't healthy and he's not available, then the Raiders are going to need a left tackle on top of maybe upgrading at right tackle and get a center if this new coach doesn't think that Jackson Powers Johnson in-house is the center that he's going to use. So with all of this happening here, I think this is the right time for Klint Kubiak for next week if the sources are right here and he comes in, which I believe they are. Because I think he can concentrate on what he learned from his father, what he learned from John Elway, what he learned from the Shanahan tree, including Kyle Shanahan, what he learned in New Orleans with Derek Carr, to really spread everybody out and dominate a game on the offensive side of the ball. The weakness of the Raiders, which is hard to say, is the offense. Last year, the defense wasn't great, but the defense showed up in a lot of games and kept the Raiders in these games. The problem is the offense went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out all year long under Geno Smith. And Pete Carroll was very loyal to Geno, and didn't bench Geno, which I thought he should have done, and didn't give Aiden O'Connell an opportunity to play. And really, the offense could never get going. That's all going to change with the new head coach. I think the new head coach should bring in a completely different scheme that we haven't seen before. A scheme that can open up the offense for Brock Bowers. But do the Raiders have to go out and get a number 1 receiver? So I really want to know if you think the priority for the Raiders after the offensive line is what? Would it be a priority number 1 receiver? Or should it be a starting cornerback through veteran free agency? So the Raiders have had a lot of bad luck drafting cornerbacks. I mean, this team has been a graveyard for cornerbacks coming out of the draft, from Garyon Connolly to Damon Arnett to some of the high draft picks that we've seen over the last decade or so. So if you want to draft another cornerback again, you got to make sure he's a high draft pick and can play. And we know the Raiders, with their first pick overall, are most likely going to go quarterback. And with the second and third pick overall, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those next 2 picks turned out to be an offensive lineman. So I see here from the Space Beast, he talks about Seattle free agent wish list to go out and get Kobe Bryant, to go out and get Rashid Shaheed, right? Go out and get him if you can. Go out and get Woolen, the cornerback, and maybe get some depth at running back behind Ashton Jeanty. You know, what I expect Klint Kubiak to do after he's officially named the head coach of this team is to go take a couple of coaches from the Seattle Seahawks and take a couple of players. That's normally what happens in football. You go out, you get some players from the team you're comfortable with. And that could go to San Francisco also. A lot of people have been texting me about his connections and what he was able to do in his short period of time with the San Francisco 49ers and Sam Darnold and the players who were there. So maybe there is an opportunity for Klint Kubiak to go get players from right under his nose in Seattle. I'm talking about practice squad players, backup players, and players who would have the opportunity to move and come to Las Vegas and play for this team. All right, the other big topic I want to get to today, I got up this morning early, got to the airport super early. As soon as I got there, we found out that Robert Kraft will not be in the Hall of Fame. This is now becoming a disturbing topic, ladies and gentlemen, with the Hall of Fame's behavior this week. Bill Belichick was not only a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer, arguably the greatest coach of all time, but Robert Kraft and his team's been to 9 Super Bowls, I believe. He's won 6 of them. And Robert Kraft will not be inducted in this class in the Hall of Fame. And as I told people here, and there's no way for me to beat around the bush, Robert Kraft is an elderly man. He is up there in age. And they're taking away from Robert Kraft the last great joy that he could ever have as a football owner. If he wins the Super Bowl coming up here, it'd be tremendous for him. But the last goal for him in his life was to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And now it looks like that's not going to happen. As I remind everybody, the Hall of Fame class is until August. We're in February. We have to go to August of 2027 before Robert Kraft can get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Earlier today, Stephen A. Smith said on First Take, and I just saw this on my Twitter, on my X, that could this affect Tom Brady and his induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I wouldn't think that'd be a compelling topic until now. I think that Tom Brady should be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as unanimous greatest quarterback of all time. Unanimous. But we just saw these Hall of Fame voters put Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft through a Hall of Fame penalty phase, which I find tremendously outlandish. So if they did it to Belichick and they did it to Kraft, who's a multi-billionaire, do you think they'll try to do that with Tom Brady? And that would be, Tom Brady's fine. He has everything in life that he could ever want. But I don't think that would be fair to Tom Brady, who's the minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. So I was shocked today when we found out that Kraft wouldn't get in. I think it's a political agenda that is now entering sports at an alarming rate. When you start mixing politics into sports, you cross the line. Sports are about statistics and individual achievements. Hall of Fames are not about championships. You don't go to the Hall of Fame because you won more championships than someone else. You go to the Hall of Fame in basketball or hockey because you scored more points. In football because you scored more touchdowns or made more tackles or had more passing yards. If you win, it's great. But winning is not the reason you go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's an individual achievement. And the individual achievements here overall are getting wiped out by this particular Hall of Fame voting class. I'm very disturbed by this. I think it's something you should all be talking about. Thank you, Jorge. And I think everybody should have an opinion on this going forward, because if the Hall of Fame is going to get political along the way here over the next couple of years, then we're in a really bad spot. So what's changed in your opinion this week in regards to this? For those who ask about Jim Plunkett as a Hall of Famer, what's held back Jim Plunkett his entire time is the fact that Jim doesn't have the stats. If Jim had the stats, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. All right, let's go to break. When we come back, Dave Softy Mallard joins us from KJR in Seattle, and he's got big, strong opinions, and you're going to get them on Klint Kubiak. I promise you, this is my first day here. This will be one of the bigger interviews we do if you want to learn about the coach and what he saw with the culture in Seattle. We'll get to Softy next as we open up the show, brought to you by Modelo, the proud partner of this show. Modelo, thanks for bringing us to San Francisco and Radio Row. All right, my brother. We're going to break and we'll come back in a few. Whatever. Got it.
For your knee.
You should have a chair here. Okay, good. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
I can stand up if you want. It's no big deal. Just sitting down on the lawn.
Pop was squatting the whole time.
Yeah, just sit on the floor.
How's your set?
Lame. We suck, man. We're terrible. We are an absolute embarrassment.
Oh,
I think we might be the only media company radio station here without a live stream. Seriously, we have 4 cameras in our studio back home, and nobody knows how to use them.
Do you live stream that?
No, we do nothing. It's
A
unbelievable.
little bit here.
Yeah, but you guys, at least you have that. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I could just like go onto my YouTube channel and just live stream on YouTube with my laptop,
That's what we do right here.
you know, but there's no audio going into the computer. Like I need to get,
It's a disaster for me today. This was working great, and then all of a sudden.
so what is this?
This is just a Yeti microphone that plugs into the laptop
So it just picks up you. Does it pick up your guests?
when I have guests. Well, this over there.
Oh yeah. So isn't there a way to go from an out on this into your laptop?
Yeah, not that we figured out. I mean, shouldn't our radio stations figure this out?
Of course, dude. Well, we're doing everything, man. We're doing, booking guests, and we're setting up equipment, and we're,
Rich Moore still to be leader?
yeah, he's there.
Good.
He's there. It's not his fault.
How long
I heart.
have you been with it?
32 years. Yeah, he's been there for 34 years, and I've been there for 32 years.
Wow. Dating back to Tom Lee.
We used to carry the Raiders, right? Our station. Yeah, back in the 90s. Tom Lee. Tom Lee decided to carry the Raiders. Should ask me. We should talk about that in the air. It'd be hilarious. Really funny.
Tom Lee, the guy
Yeah.
who hired
Tom Lee hired me, hired you, hired all of us. And he decided, we're going to carry Raider football. It was Joel
Myers.
And I was running the board. There, is this on? Where am I at?
Hear yourself? I'm in.
No. Which one am I at? Right there? 3, 6. The 6 muted.
Oh, sure.
2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Give me a little bit more of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2.
Love that.
Am I in 6? Is that right? Or 5? 5's me, 2, and there you go. I got it. Yep, I got you.
Get a chance.
We're
We're
good.
good.
No, we're good.
These two. Got it.
Yep, got you. Just turn my return up a bit.
Gave him the return.
I can't hear anything. I got it. We're good. I'm on 5 right there.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Mic levels are good.
Yep.
Who's back in the studio?
Way big. Oh, yeah.
Clay, how you doing, man?
You guys don't need that.
You bet. 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Levels are good. Am I popping too much? Oh, did you really? Oh, you were. Wow. That's funny. 98. So hang on a second. Let me fix this real quick here. I'm going to turn my local up. There you go. I like a lot. I like a lot of return. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. There you go. Mic levels, Clay, are good for me. We're not popping too much. Okay. So, Clay, did you work at KJR? So he tried to hire me at Fox Sports Radio when he launched it.
You hired me?
Yeah. And I was just getting married, and they wanted me to like push my honeymoon back and report earlier. And I was like, wow, I'm not doing that. So I stayed home. I didn't go.
Tom tried to hire me on KJ. I took the job at the Raiders. I took a 10-50.
That's crazy. And here you are. That's nuts.
Same time.
I remember listening to you and T-Man on Sports Fan Radio overnights.
You got a good story of it.
So I produced Rob's show when he worked in Seattle. For like 9 months, he did 9 to midnight on KJR.
And then when he was hiding and only got to see him.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he got offered the Cube Morning Show job, the FM station, and his career took off. Started making millions of dollars doing that.
What's happening?
He just made too much money and quit. Now he plays poker. He's on the poker tour. Yeah.
What's her name? It's like you look to the market. It's really listen to some. It's the rest. It's right next to it's performance. Seahawks Radio on the call. My good friend Dave Softy Mahler, the king of Seattle sports talk, started roughly at the same time. And look at you, man! You get another Super Bowl, another Radio Row Super Bowl.
Hey, listen, if Jim Rome is the godfather of sports talk radio, you are the heir apparent, my friend. This guy right here, one of the geniuses of sports talk radio. I just hope people down in Vegas and all across the country understand the greatness that is JT the Brick. All right. Never forget what this man has done to our industry.
Well, I
would not
appreciate
be
that.
here without this guy.
That is nicely said. And we both told the story about how we crossed paths. A guy by the name of Tom Lee tried to hire me in Seattle. I took the San Francisco, Oakland job with the Raiders. And then
Right.
Tom tried to hire you
Yeah.
down in LA when we
Right.
started Fox Sports Radio and you built this empire in Seattle.
Yeah, I built an empire, all right. For God's sakes, man. I built an empire that got me down here in some free chicken wings on Radio Row. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just nuts when you've been in the business as long as we have, how many people you bump into and how many paths you cross and stories you can tell. I mean, you've got to have enough for a freaking book the size of the
Yeah.
Bible, for God's sakes,
Yeah.
to tell some stories about being in this business. I first heard JT, everybody tuning in right now on Sports Fan Radio Network in Las Vegas about 35 years ago. And then Chuck Powell, and if
Yeah.
Chuck or not,
Chuck's on your
Chuck
channel.
was on Sports Fan. Chuck does our morning show. Rob Tepper, the T-Man. Damon the Mad Dog Perry. He's got his own stories, obviously, back in the day. So it's just crazy how a lot of us are still, we haven't learned our lesson yet. We haven't gotten real jobs. We're still in this business, schlepping this equipment around all across the country, talking sports for a living.
I am still grateful. I was telling Scott Kaplan, another guy you know, and a
I
guy
know
we go
Scott.
back with.
I was on his show last
Yeah.
week before the rant.
And what's interesting about that is, you know, looking at all these years that we've been on radio together and doing what we're doing. My wife told me yesterday, she goes, you get the same way every year around Radio Row. It's like, I feel like I got to come up here
Right.
and I got to beat everybody. I got to get better guests. I got to work longer hours. I swear, my friend, this is the first ever Radio Row where I don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
I felt that way for 5 years now. So
Yeah.
you're a little bit behind
I was a
me.
little bit
Okay,
behind
which
you on
is
that.
amazing because you're a little bit older than
Yes.
me, but you're a little bit behind me. I mean, I will be honest with you, and I don't know if I would even say this on my own radio station because Rich Moore, my boss, would kick my ass if I said this on the air. I'm not going to spend good money and send you down there to have you complain, right? Like you've heard that before
I have.
from PDs. I hate this. I hate this whole thing. I hate Radio Row. I hate this week. It's a soul-sucking experience to be running around. There's Pete Prisco walking around after guys like that, begging him to wave at you and come on the radio show. And they do exactly what he just did.
Yeah, give you
And
away.
totally blow you off and big time you, man. All these idiots with these sign-up sheets and, hey, can I get this guy on? Can I get that guy on? I've decided that I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do my show. We're going to talk Seahawks. We're going to share our thoughts on the Hawks, get people fired up for Sunday. And if I get a couple of decent names, yes, then great. I'm not going to change my show because I'm down here at Hack Central.
Yeah.
A week, forget it.
But it used to be that I would get here, and this is Dave Softy Muller, one of the icons of sports radio, especially in Seattle. And when I used to get down here, they told this story when I worked at Fox for 17 years. They'd get pissed at me because I'd show up at the set at 8 a.m. for a 7 o'clock show,
Right.
and I'd bank like 11 interviews, but they were
Yes.
big interviews. You know,
Yes.
Emmett Smith, Marcus Allen. And they finally got to the point where they're like, we don't want this.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I don't care what you want.
need
I
you.
want this.
They need you.
Yeah, but I want
That's why you're here for you.
but I wanted to build relationships with those Hall of Famers and players and friends like you. And I think it hasn't jumped the shark for me, but I look at it this year, and to everybody listening and watching, it's no longer Radio Row. It's not what it used to be. And this isn't get off my lawn crap. It's just the fact that it turned into Podcast Row. A lot of radio stations don't have the budget or the money. Then you see the giant radio stations barely hanging on by a thread. And then let me ask you about the gambling influence of FanDuel and DraftKings as
Absolutely.
they enter the space.
Well, Lee Sterling, you know Lee.
Yeah, very well. It's a
Paramount
weekly
Sports,
guest.
and he's been on with me for 30 years.
Yeah, me too.
Tom Lee shut down my throat 30 years ago. Probably the same thing, you know. So
Yeah.
we've gotten to know each other and we're good friends and all that. And he comes on every week. And there's a lot of other aspects of the gambling that we get into. And it just seems like it's a part of the daily conversation, right? Like going on the air and talking about the Seahawks and talking about the Patriots, and all of a sudden, boom, you'll find a way to interject with, hey, I like the first quarter total, or I like this prop bet, or I like that prop bet. Now they're talking about it on TV, right? I mean, Collinsworth is bringing it up, for God's sake. It's like stuff that was taboo when you and I were kids. You'd be arrested for doing
Yeah.
things like this. Like even in the NIL world, the stuff that we talk about now on the air. We had Jed Fish, the coach, came by the office about 6 months ago to talk to the sales staff about how we can make the players money. Like, we haven't shot for this 5 years ago. Now it's just totally different. I gave Dane Looker, I remember Dane Looker played for the Rams for a while. I gave him an MXPX CD in like 1998. And we had to go behind the stadium to do the handoff in case somebody saw me handing him a promotional CD from the radio station. That was the first violation I ever committed. Now that's child's play. Now that CD better come with about $500 in cash inside of it.
Dave Softimalo, let's get right to your expertise on Clint Kubiak. I have to say, on the Raiders flagship, sources say he will be the next head coach of the Silver and Black.
He's your next head coach.
What do you like about him? What concerns you about him? Because you fed me a lot of information on Pete Carroll, and we hope that Pete will do well. We were both surprised that it didn't work well.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you guys didn't give him another year because of the success he's had. But I also get it, right? He's not young. Mark Davis isn't young. Everybody wants to win now. Okay, I totally understand that. The thing with Clint that I'm concerned about is his personality. I think as a schemer, as a play caller, he's phenomenal. But I think there's a difference between a head coach and there's a difference between a guy that belongs in the lab, right? And I've been around a lot of great coordinators that are just coordinators, like my guy Pete Kwiatkowski, who was our defensive coordinator at Washington with Steve Sarkisian. He was with Sark at Texas for the last couple of years, just got fired, obviously. They brought back Will Muschamp to be the DC. You talk to Pete Kwiatkowski, and immediately you can tell he's not a head coach. He's not a CEO. He doesn't have that personality. He likes to be behind the scenes, scheming up defenses and blitzes and all kinds of different coverages. He's not a guy that's going to meet with the media. He's not a guy that's going to command a locker room. And that's okay, right? That's not an insult. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo, maybe the best defensive coordinator in the history of the NFL. He's not a head coach. He's a lab rat. He's a DC. And I'm worried that Clint Kubiak is the same guy. That's what freaks me out. I don't sense now, and this could change, I don't sense a guy that is going to come in there with the charisma and the command of the head coach and be able to get a locker room to follow him and install whatever culture he believes in and believe in it. I see a guy that's more suited as an assistant coach. I see a guy who's more suited as a play caller. I don't see a guy that's got that command right now, John, that it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. Pete Carroll has that.
All right,
Mike McDonald had that. Mike Holmgren had that in Seattle. I'm just nervous that Clint doesn't have it.
How could he not have it when his dad's a Super Bowl head coach? He grew up in the locker room with John Elway. He works in the system now with a young head coach. So let's say, and we know he's going to be the head coach when it comes into next week. Is this something he could learn on the job? Because the Raiders have tried everything since John Gruden. We had Antonio Pierce, as you know. We had Rich Bisaccia. We had Josh McDaniels that flamed out. So can Clint Kubiak learn how to command a room when he stands in front of 90 guys at training camp and motivate them?
He's 38 years old, man. I think he is what he is at this point for personality. And you're asking me, like, to be a psychologist, right? Does a guy change his personality? A guy come out of his shell? Maybe. You ever watch Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
No, Nathan? Okay. Nathan was behind the scenes as a kit man on flight and everything. And then Ted gave him a shot. And boom, all of a sudden he's this arrogant, cocky SOB, right? That's coaching for, Man City or Man United or whatever the hell the team was he was coaching for. It turns into, kind of a prick, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he can change, but when I look for a head coach, I look for a guy that's got command, a guy that people will follow, a guy that people will fear, a guy that people will respect, a guy that people will play hard for, that will install a phenomenal culture. Pete Carroll's greatest gift to me is that he was your best buddy until he wasn't. He was a player's coach, but he also put the team first, second, and third. I love you to death, but I'm sorry I have to cut your ass and make room for somebody else. Like, you know what? When you walk out that door, I'm still going to be a father figure for you. Maybe one day we'll bring you back. But he was cutthroat. He showed up to Seattle, John. He made like 190 moves in his first year on the job in Seattle. And I just don't know if Clint has that in it. I don't know if Clint has that command and that personality.
So Softy joins us. What does he have that Raider Nation can galvanize behind as a wizard play caller, assuming Mendoza, Genti, and Bowers is that triangle?
Well, the thing with Mendoza is that he's going to be his first coach in the NFL. Sam Darnold's been in the NFL now for 7 years. He's got like 6 different quarterback coaches and coordinators, right? So he's not working with a piece of clay. So he's working with a project that has been torn down and reborn and torn down and reborn all over again. He finally found Clint Kubiak, and really, let's face it, Clint Kubiak took over Sam Darnold at a great time because if you remember, it was kind of more Kevin Conn that did the heavy lifting. He was the one that really brought Sam Darnold to stay kind of a shell in Minnesota, and then the Seahawks get lucky because the Vikings stupidly let this guy walk, and he comes to Seattle, a totally different product than he was the year before. Other thing that Clint Kubiak has right now that the Raiders don't have, I don't think, is a phenomenal defense to complement his offense. Right? I mean, there's certain things that he just doesn't have to do. Right. Doesn't have to take chances. Doesn't need to. He's got maybe the best defense in the NFL. I mean, if we're going to judge defense by scoring, they are the best team. It's the number one scoring defense in football. It's by 3 points this year for that trade. So they complement each other very, very well. They don't need to take chances. They don't need to take a lot of risks inside their own 50-yard line. For example, when they drafted Jalen Milroe from Alabama, we thought, hey, 4th inches from your own 30, go for it. And how with it? Bring in the kid. Let's do a push, get our first down takeoff. Milroe hasn't really panned out, mostly because he was fumbling the ball a lot.
I like him. I'm surprised.
They just said it's not worth it right now. Maybe down the road. But he's not taking chances like that, JT, because of the phenomenal defense that they have in Seattle. So what you're going to see is a guy that's in love with the outside zone, loves the outside zone, like to death, loves the outside zone. If you change his name from Clint Kubiak to outside zone, he would do it. Also runs about 2 and 3 tight end sets. Tremendous, where they'll confuse the defense. It looks like a run, but they're going to throw the ball instead. He's also been really amazing at scoring points without really any depth at wide receiver. Jackson Smith and Jigba, what he's been able to do without a real compliment, it's been unbelievable. I mean, JT, they had to go out of the deadline, and they traded for Rashid Shaheed. And they had Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's 32 years old. He's just kind of done. Like, Cooper's been great in the locker room. He's a great leader. He's a great mentor for his guys. The 2 Ram games they won, he was crazy. Yeah. Darnold throws 4 picks, and they got a 60-point of winning the game. So they haven't had a guy. But yet Jackson Smith and Jigba keeps going bananas every single week. And to be able to win like that, and then also win when JSN doesn't have a big game. They've got 8 games this year where Jackson Smith and Jigba was held to under 100 yards. Do you know what their record is in those 8 games? They're 8-0 in those 8 games.
Incredible.
So he's been really amazing at that place.
Last one for Softy. I want to ask a legacy question for the Seahawks. I think they win the game. I think they cover the number. If they don't,
right,
what does it do to the legacy of this franchise with Jody Allen, Paul Allen, a win, which gets them their second? What does that mean overall for the legacy?
Between 1976 and 1997, when Paul Allen bought the team, this franchise made the playoffs 4 times. Since 97, they've made it 17 times.
Wow.
Into the Super Bowl 4 times now. The Allen legacy is set. It's done. Forget it. You're in the Super Bowl. You're a 4.5-point favorite. You're not a 15-point favorite, right? This is not like the Ravens Giants, for example, or the Chargers San Francisco. The Patriots can easily win this game. This is not a lock at all for the Seahawks on Sunday. But the fact that Paul Allen and Jody Allen of the Allen family bought this thing almost 30 years ago and totally changed the fortunes of the city, it's beyond my wildest dreams. Like, JT, there's a 5-year-old running around Seattle somewhere. This is all they know. Right. Is Super Bowl. We knew none of this growing up. I was 30 when the Seahawks went to their first Super Bowl. Well, I was 40. Sorry, I was 40 years old when they went to their first one. This is crazy how much they've changed the legacy of this town, of this franchise. So no matter what happens on Sunday, it's year 2 for McDonald. It's year 1 for Darnold. This team is going to be hanging around.
We took Geno.
Yes.
You took Darnold.
Right.
And I talked to you about Geno. Yeah. Geno was 4,300 yards, 70%. We didn't get a bum. No. We got a good player who went to the Pro Bowl, not one of these fake Shador Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
What happened to Geno Smith?
You tell me you saw that line play. They got no line. I mean, the Seahawks.
Geno couldn't run. Geno couldn't do sprint rights. Geno couldn't dive over people for first downs.
It's not his game. No, it's a young 30-something, whatever. It's not his game, John. I mean, an offensive line of that was beat to death by everybody for years. Terrible offensive line. Schmeichel has no idea what he's doing. And they finally go out and they spend draft capital, a high pick on Gray Zabel, who was the highest drafted guard since Steve Hutchinson.
Wow.
20 whatever years ago.
Yeah.
Then they find a center, his ex-teammate at North Dakota State, and Jalen Sundell. who was already on the roster, just waiting for a chance, gave it to him. Charles Cross popped. He was the third offensive lineman Schneider drafted to get a second contract. First was Okun, second was Justice Britt. And now the offensive line's good. They're good. They're not elite. They're good. And that's the difference. Everything starts with the line. When Washington went to the title game against Michigan 2 years ago, they did it because of their line. Everybody thinks Penix and Dunes and McMillan. No, they had the Joe Moore winning, Ford-winning offensive line. They had Roger Rosengarten, who's now starting for the Ravens. They had Troy Fautanu, who's with Pittsburgh. Jackson Kirkland. Parker Brailsford's now at Alabama, starting for Kalen DeVore down there. They had a line, and that's why they won. You guys won't do squat until you get a line. You better get a line before you put the kid Mendoza back there, or he's going to get killed.
We're buying a line in the offseason like the Bears did. When I re-rack this interview on Friday, I'm going to buy you a ton of beer when I just play this 15 minutes. Thanks a lot, my brother. I look forward to coming on your show, man. Thanks a lot, man. We're wrapping up the hour. Fantastic as always. And a guy who knows how to take his headset off lightly. What a pro. What an interview there. All right, everybody. You just had a deep dive on Klint Kubiak. And as I told you, Softy's one of the guys I go to. He's one of the go-to guys. He knows Seattle as good as anybody. He thinks it's a bit of a, I won't say red flag. He questions Klint Kubiak's ability to command a room. I don't, because I don't think the Raiders have to have a guy like Gruden. And Gruden, when he came in, I was there for that. When Gruden came in, Gruden wasn't Mr. Rah-Rah guy just yet. We had Antonio Pierce, who was really over the top. I enjoyed that. I could care less what Klint Kubiak, sources say, will be the next head coach. I could care less what his personality is. I'll get behind this guy like Raider Nation, and I'll run through a wall for him. Okay, no more of this. What do you dress like? What do you look like? What is your hair like? How loud can you get on the radio? None of that. What we need here is a coach who can build the Raiders and take the Raiders to the next level. Wow. Softy was unbelievable. When we come back, Sam Munson will join us. He's going to join us live from the set. He's been fantastic for us all year. And Sean Lights Out Merriman is going to join us. We're brought to you by our great friends at the Castaverde Brothers, the Castaverde Law Group. If you get into an accident or injured, Alex and Orlando de Castaverde, two of our great sponsors, the Brothers Win, brotherswin.com, live from San Francisco, the Moscone Center, Radio Row. Wow. Did you guys hear that good? Were you able to hear Softy good? Did everybody get that? Tell me if you could hear what he had to say. Hey, Sam. See it. Jump on this side. You got it.
Yeah. Okay. We're having a couple posts.
To make sure you can hear your levels and everything's good here. Are you buried? You've been running around? There you go. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Clay, can you hear Sam? Yep. You got him good? Yeah. Talk one more time, Sam. 1, 2. No, we don't hear him. No, we don't hear him. Okay. Let's make sure we got that. All right. Try that one more time, please. Yeah, you got him now. Good. Good. We're gonna hit on Kubiak, but it's the Raider flagship, so it's sources said, all that stuff, and just keys to the game. How are you, man? How's the pod going? Career, everything rocking? Good.
First year in our studio.
Yeah. Good. You liking it? The studio's good? Good. Sponsors rolling in and all that? Are you in? Good. The sales guys are everything, you know. How much time, Clay?
Guess who we're getting?
Okay, thank you.
Guess who we're getting? You might be seeing it. Me.
Yeah, we got a lot going on with this Kubiak Mendoza thing. And then this is national, so I'm playing this tonight on Sirius as always. All right, Clay, I'll take this for tonight too, please. Thank you.
So this is famous, right? But this region is so I told him, I said, he said, guess what we're getting? Guess what we're getting for it? Let's go. Like, awesome. So, yeah.
You staying near downtown or close by?
Yeah, we're in,
Oh, good. Good. I lived up here for a few years, so I know the town well. It's good to be back. I haven't been back in a long time.
yeah, cool. Well, take care.
How long ago? Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great city when the weather. It's all based on the weather, man. You know, when you're fortunate enough to get weather like this, it's great. All right.
Hey, that's a big fruit. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I'm saying,
Because we'll get to me. The brand on somebody got to that's good enough. Now we can't make this age. So it has and they are good. And they
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2, live from Radio Row, the Moscone Center in San Francisco. Good to be back. Year 29 on Radio Row, and great to be here. We'll thank all of our proud partners. Sam Munson, kind enough to join us. He's joined us every week this season from the 33rd team. Welcome to San Francisco. How are you? You said it's been a while since you've been back here. You're looking forward to seeing this city and all the great parts of the city, from the views to the restaurants to the great restaurants and bars. What are you looking forward to?
city, all that. The Super Bowl. There's now. I'm telling you, stuff like games,
Yeah. A lot of people were down on that San Jose Convention Center. How'd you feel about that when they could have did it in this convention center, one of the 16 other ballrooms that they have?
Yeah, see, they made the contact with them.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
That's like that. Yep.
Mhm.
Now, I think that's like this where it
Yeah.
when we saw what's there.
They know.
Should they really?
Yeah, and we should all be blessed that we have this opportunity, right? I wanted to start with the breaking news today on Robert Kraft and the way the Hall of Fame. I'm a real big Hall of Fame geek. I go back a lot to see what's happening to their brand and their image over the Belichick and Kraft. How are you framing it on your podcast and shows?
They've got some well. They can't. I think that
Yeah.
it's a great. I hope that I'm gonna same thing. But great to be good. What is all the two things? So they know. I glass. What's let it get to them? There's no way of going to stuff that's not making it restricted. Everybody works. Price of it. So if this guy is saying, I'm going to say this is the chest air, like, we're going to just issue stuff. It's creating such a rules for absolutely changing. Game was not even 60. It's like, wow, Belichick's and Fox did a couple my phone to some other guys. Playing with this, senior first, yeah, it's the first year, coaches, and then it's a big difference. It's not always it's just the strikes up or down, balls from this else. If you want to put it in, it's out there, it's your factor can. Yeah,
the one thing that bothered me about Kraft, he's an elderly guy. He's been around a long time. I mean, you're not promised tomorrow, and he's got to wait till not this August, but next August. I mean, that's more than a year and a half away of being the most accomplished owner of the modern era. It really seems like it's a big slap in the face. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So there's that's much one. That's it. There's this guy to be in collapse. It's collapse. It's for so that's the critical point like that's why I felt some criteria. It's like what would you said? Yeah, come on. And then you like did you know I'm having to so I didn't see yeah, it's all just this ratings slugging on and it's all going to do that. So it's not revolutionary. They don't know here now. So having party towards these guys like somebody. You equal this? Right. See, that's your get the balance for collective will be other people. Get the thing with yourself. Like, and then, no, break your mind, they're stop, forget, don't get argue like great with this, and how much you pull, let's go, you're hired. You pay their money still in. If they're out for something.
Where do you stand on the spy gate, deflate gate? That should be a 1-year penalty because it could affect Brady, could potentially, right? Right.
Shooting, that is scaring a predator, or lots of instruments.
So then we
Say, to say, if that's what you're either it's a problem or it's not. You know, like most of them, chippers, spikers, they don't put you in like saying, that's fine. I respect that.
Okay.
So it's not really the way it works. It's either much to say, cheating's with 1-year penalty. That means you can't be the first ballot. Okay, when you can be in the Hall of Fame. It's sort of the
Sam Munson's our guest. Give me a couple of matchups in the Super Bowl that you're really looking forward to. Okay.
So that's all this feels like that all reasons and orders. So it's very
Yes.
when I actually think the glue that was more split and they handle things for the new one. They're having readings and what if they're installing the teaching institute with kids and plan safe.
like fake out.
Going into so I think that's a big territory.
I think Drake May running is going to be big. I think his athletic ability to just try to dominate a game, not with 10 runs, but 6 or 7 really big chunk runs that could be the difference in staying on the field.
Sticky.
Yeah, he is.
You don't. Which doesn't, yeah, yeah, the trade means really dangerous in the it's happening already in the playoffs and it's because there were 2 men. Oops, right. Those two claims of that. Good to nothing. So, but he was.
Sam Munson is our guest. What about Gonzalez, Smith, and Jigba? Can they go 1-on-1, or do you think there's going to be some safety help on Smith and Jigba for this unbelievable year? So do I.
And said, hey, I'm in the work. It was winning, saying, hey, let's go. And like, you might be this,
Yeah.
we might do this. Like that happens, you got to side. It's why. And maybe it's over there. It's not going to be thankful. Like, really, you know, that's what I'm saying. So we just, like, thousands of things. They're not going to say, well, it's not your person. I'm not going to get not even saying that. I mean, my votes for 20 things here. It's not case of just going to say just open movement. If suddenly is going to be in the backfield, or someone's going to be in a spot. So maybe you're right. How they address data sets and everything.
Sam Munson's our guest as we wrap it up. Let me ask you personally for my Raider work. What do you think of Kubiak? Not as a play caller, but as a young guy who can command the room and take over the famed Raiders with John Madden coached and Gruden and guys who had a lot of bravado. What would your concerns be with that?
Decide when.
Yeah, we don't know.
Whichever was at least how things should go get seen inside they're willing they're worth it. What? Improving this. We still have to use that how much That was beautiful. It's really philosophy.
Right.
Still would have changed much, right? But now he's going to go and take my list. Which takes a state. So we're doing something.
Absolutely. Were you disappointed by the 10 vacancies? Was that a bit too much? Is it, you see a path with the league going down a slippery slope where 2 or 3 years is now the max to turn around a program?
So it's interesting. So it's
Correct. Correct.
time. Still. Quite well. Head coach to GMs. No. It's there's no we're doing that in this school.
Right.
Majority of Chris was on right. Yeah, against something. So that's it's not over three things of game and then on the lives of the six of it's a last thing. You don't know what's incredible. It's like that.
Yeah, so do I. Wrapping it up here, I wanted to get your opinion overall on how your path has grown in the world of streaming, podcasting. This used to be Radio Row. Now it's more of Podcast Row. From all my years of coming here, from all the different locations and stages I've been on and what I've done, it's different now. I'm not saying it's worse, but it's really different. How are you and Steve attacking it differently from the first time you came here? Yeah.
It is. I thought you would know better than you do. For God. Beautiful for home for podcast.
Yeah.
Stay clear, square footage. It's the biggest somewhere.
I love that, Sam. You notice the living spaces environment development there. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. I heard there's 80 stations that couldn't get in. And I know a couple of really good guys who said they're on a waiting list to get in here tomorrow. It is. It's massive.
Giant.
Yeah.
You have a lot of extra people in there. That's
I would agree. Last one. Give me a prediction on the game, where you sense it's going to go.
No. Try to exist. Don't give that mean with the it gives that this getting higher than so
Yeah, so do I. Are you more shocked that they're here or Buffalo's not here?
It's a big pool season. It's a gang. To new butter pools been years.
Right.
Or things can get a really great baby goals. That's right. He said that you're even like what's it. And now they make some goals for that and better. Buffalo get people to first like Omaha homes for Jackson. It's now or never. I'm not gonna do it now when you go here. No. They were still in the sewers and 15 great number.
Thanks for doing this, man. What you did every week for us meant a lot to me, and we were able to double dip it and play it on Sirius XM. Continued success. Thanks for doing that, everybody. You got it. That's Sam Monson from the 33rd team. Really appreciate what he does. His podcast and his platform is legit, and I download it. Everybody else should. It's that good. And he was very beneficial with his time with us this year. So that opens it up for you here, man. We've had a good 30 minutes of really good content to hear from Dave Softy Mahler, and then to just check in with Sam Monson. T live from Radio Row. This is kind of a JT Raw effect here. Q Myers did an unbelievable job getting us set up down here. And as Sam said, it's a work in progress. A little breakdown going here, little movement. It's good. This is what it is. Q. We're watching you, Q. Q is just grinding here, getting everybody set up. And he's doing his thing. And I appreciate how he's doing it, man. There's a lot of work to be done here. Sean Merriman's going to join us coming up here in a little bit. So over the last, half hour, as I think we're handling it correctly, as we're talking about the emergence of Clint Kubiak and Clint Kubiak jumping in and going to be the head coach of this team, as sources said, next week. How do you welcome him in? And what are your expectations for him? We're a week away. I mean, they're going to play this game on Sunday. I don't know if he's going to be in the building Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Tuesday. We'll find out for you. That will be all over X and Twitter when it happens. But Raider Nation, you have just a couple of days, let alone to the end of the week, to come to grips with the Raiders now having a new coach. We did a really good monologue yesterday that my sons clipped up here, and it got a lot of run on the fact that you're looking now at a coach that the Raider Nation should get behind, and everybody should get behind him in a big way. And if we're going to take some calls from here today, I want to know, as a fan, how you're evolving on that topic compared to where you've been the last 5-6 years in Las Vegas and what's been happening there. We're going to break right now. When we come back, Sean Merriman's going to join us live from the set here. We'll knock him out here quickly, and then we'll keep it going. Let's hear from you, 702-365-9200. I want to thank Finley Volvo Las Vegas, Mike and his entire team. I drove by that today. My wife took me to the airport in the pitch black, and I saw the Finley Volvo sign. If you're looking for a lease vehicle, a new vehicle, make sure you go to Finley Volvo Las Vegas.
Everything good here?
Yeah, I think we're good.
That's
Yeah, I didn't know if because he was muted. Is he 6 or 4?
No, that's 5.
That's 5. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is
This
4?
is 5.
Yep.
This is 4. 4
Good.
and 5.
5.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah. Yes, he's still large. Yes, he is. Very much so.
See something I'm seeing. We're gonna have a really awkward
gallery earlier?
and I went out and long.
Yeah.
And he
Lost a lot of weight. Beers.
like
No.
right. And I'm rolling
How's it going at the Raider set?
black hole.
Quiet,
And I'm
slow.
probably has to start.
Was it?
And everybody was nice. Everybody's like the British fans are horrible. They're like, you're on my TV. What? They love me in the black hole.
Hey, man, I'm trying, man. It's a little bit of a grind today. Q's doing a great job working through this. That's Sean.
Thank it's me. I know it's so that's me. It's like
I really that day, and I have a like probably. The fans are so extremely. It's kind of hard to be a female coach. Sometimes for the Raiders viewers, love them some Coach King.
So you mentioned it a couple times. Our audience might not be familiar with their background. Female folks, of course.
I don't. Yes. So, first I was a long-term player. I played about 15 years.
Not going to be able to talk much during the breaks, but appreciate you tuning in, everybody.
That was 5.
Hey, Raj, can I borrow that for 1 second for John? John, jump down.
That for a year. Then they asked me.
So we're
I actually followed you the other day. You got
let me get you all set up. Jump in.
Hey, how are you?
Who are you with? Who you promote?
Lights out. Good. Lights out. We're on ESPN Latin America now.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
this is right here. Is this fourth? Oh, yeah, that's not even connected. Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Okay, cool.
With this completed
Up live, man. Business
Good,
going
man.
good?
Everything good.
Good. I'm loving it.
You flew in from Vegas?
I did
We went
silver
back-
screen last.
Oh, you did?
I don't know anything. Roger's leaders here, so I've been in Ron's up on the wall.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Take your note. Exactly an hour.
To Turnberg.
So fun.
No, I'm in Vegas.
Sign up.
What's up, baby? What's up, bro? Okay.
How do you like America? Do you like Condor?
I love it. They got so much damn security to get in and out of there. That's why I like it, because I travel a lot. So when I leave, I don't have anything to work on. Set time. 3 levels to get in that front. Great building. They gotta let you up. You can't get up. All around.
Timing. Yeah.
It's Clint official. They don't know. Okay. Yeah.
To turn this down. So, next time I watch
JT back with you. Glad to talk to you for decades now. So marrying each other. It's good to see you. Thanks for doing.
Good to see you, man.
Give me the whole lights out story right now. What's going on? You built the hell of and
Yeah, we just back in December we signed a deal with ESPN Latin America now, and it was great timing for us because obviously football's gonna be big here in the States. But when you talk about MMA and combat sports in general, it's global, and all the Latin American countries is massive for us. We got a lot of them, Latin American fighters, and also UFC going over to Paramount. And their first fight on Paramount was insane. Yeah. For us, for what we sent, I think more fighters in UFC, and I think we did have some more fighters in UFC last year than anybody else in the country. And then we actually had fighters from the card too. So now, when they go out and they look good. We had a big fighter, I think about several months ago, Ethan Ewan, who had a big showing on the at the UFC, and now we have more and more guys going. So for us, it's about distribution. Everything we're doing internally, our production is great, got great fighters, consistent events. I got a great team, but you need more eyeballs. That's why the UFC is big as they are, because they left Fox and they got a massive deal with ESPN. They got an even bigger deal with Paramount. But it comes down to distribution of BSN. I think the streaming and media landscape is so much different now. Back when we first started, even now, one of the first radio roles that I did back in the mid 2000s, before things on Miami, that's the festival. You had the choice and all these other. So the media is different. You had traditional, either radio, you had TV, podcasts. Now you got ways to send distribution and syndication everywhere. It doesn't live in just one platform now. So for us, it's like, okay, well, traditionally you would just be with ESPN and that was the end all be all. But now you have streaming everywhere.
it's not the right now.
No.
It's like a quick chat. The number coverage was crazy. What's the whole it's some of the people and here. I think I'll sell it.
It's showing he was not the Melvin.
I don't think it's necessarily just Jim Harbaugh. I think it was also Greg as well. And I don't mind the run first mentality, because let me tell you about the when you have a run first mentality, that resonates with the rest of the team. The mindset, how you play the game. If you come out and you're pass happy, it trickles down to things that we're more finesse, we're more passive aggressive. And when you have a run first mentality, but by the way, we can pass it, it opens up everything. And the problem is with Justin Herbert, and I think you're absolutely right. He got to win in the postseason. He's always going to have that dark cloud over him until he wins in the postseason. He can't get hit as much as he. I mean, I don't care who you are. And I played against some of the best. And the time when I was with the Bills and we beat Tom Brady, I mean, we made him throw 4 interceptions. And so we were hitting him left and right. And some of the biggest games we won is because we were able to get to the quarterback. And that's the Charles Smith's problem. It's not running the football. They had a great defense under Justin Minter. They were getting Justin Herbert hit way too much, and you can't win that one. Yeah. I think that they need to find better ways to use Ladd McConkey. But I also think that you need and nothing is Keenan at this age, he's playing out of this world. It's ridiculous. He's an older guy. So you can't look for him to be your number one all the time. He has to be someone that is a possession guy to go out and get open and get you a first down and get the sticks moving. Not the guy that's going to burn you in the outside. They're missing that guy. And they had Mike Williams who was there, and they had some guys who can stretch the field. When you talk about Justin Herbert having a big arm, well, where's going to be used if guys can't get open? And so I think that, having Mike McDaniels in the locker room, having him with his mentality, that explosive mentality he has, they're going to score a lot of points. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's one of the best hires they did in a minute. If it actually goes through, and I'll tell you why. Look at the way the NFL is going right now with Jesse Minter's of the world. And I'll tell you who started it with really Sean McVay, having a young, energetic, relatable coach that's less about leading and more about getting the most out of your guys. That's where everything is going. And I also think that there's going to be more defensive-minded head coaches with great offensive coordinators that's able to come in. You got to be able to put up points now. Back when I played, they run the ball 30-plus times, and even up to several years ago where the fullback still mattered and certain positions still matter. Now, you got to be able to throw the football. You got to be able to run to win games, but you got to be able to stretch the field and at least pose a threat to be able to throw the football down the field. Yeah. It's you go to Vegas for what you want, right? Everybody comes to Vegas once, twice a year. All the flights I used to have to get off my meetings to go to Florida, New York. I'm like, okay, when you coming to Vegas? So it saved me about 8 flights a year just living there, at least 8. Right.
So it's not.
100%, and just with off to me, I'm normally I'm up at 5:30 every morning. I go to the gym 5-6 days a week. Well, you can wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, like I'm hungry. I'll go get something to eat somewhere, and that to me has been great, and also too just the opportunity because you come across being in the world of sports and entertainment and combat sports and some of the other media stuff I'm into. Vegas has been a great home for me. Yeah, we get back on the schedule in April, and then we'll go every month after that to fulfill the multi-year deal we got with ESPN Latin America. Appreciate it, brother. Good to see you.
Do it on Radio Row as much. He had good things to say. Yeah, and show some respect to the guest in the chat. They act like an adult, as Big D would say. Show some respect on my show. That's the way we do it. He's always a good guest. He has something to say. Now, what's interesting with him is he likes the potential hire. Notice how we air quote potential hire of Clint Kubiak. He thinks that's the smartest move the Raiders have made in quite some time. And that's not people kicking the Raiders in the groin. John Gruden, I thought, was a great hire the second time around. Antonio Pierce was the right decision at that time. He deserved to be the interim coach. He did enough to prove to Mark Davis that he could take the team and deserve another year. Raiders lost 10 in a row. He lost his job. Pete Carroll was the right choice at the right time. A legacy play, a potential Hall of Famer. It didn't work. So now the Raiders are going to try something really different. Going with someone who's young that hasn't been proving as a coach. And A lot of coaches were never proven as a coach. Go back to the beginning of Joe Gibbs. Go back to the beginning of Bill Walsh coming out of the Cincinnati tree, and Paul Brown. Go through all these coaches who needed to start somewhere else. So I'm really excited about this topic all week because we have got to find a way for the Raider Nation to galvanize behind him, and get to the point where most Raider fans are going to say, I'm going to put some of the negativity behind us. I'm going to forget about what we were talking about over the last couple of years. We're not going to throw rocks at each other, and we're going to get behind this coach. And when that announcement is official, I would hope it would be one of our best streaming days, one of our biggest days out here, and we could do a good job to sit down with the coach and welcome him to Raider Nation. I mean, a guy like Sean Merriman's been around the block, okay, and he understands what a culture is all about. All teams, when they hire a head coach, feel like they're getting the right culture, correct? When you hire a head coach, you always feel like the number one thing you're doing is you're changing the culture for the better. I've never thought that the Raiders have ever had a big culture problem. And you might shake your head and say, what is he saying? No, I've been around the Raiders, just finished 28 years. There was never a point because of Al Davis, a lot of it because of Al Davis and the Hall of Famers that are around the organization, that the culture was never the problem. Everybody who walks into Raiders headquarters, if it was Alameda, LA, Vegas, sees all the Lombardis and the Hall of Famers on the wall. You come in with the right culture to kick ass, to play at the highest level possible, and represent the silver and black. Nothing changes except wins and losses. So when you don't have good players and you don't have great players, you're not going to win. And we're starting to see that now, where maybe Clint Kubiak is going to be the coach that's going to evaluate this roster with John Spidek differently than the way Pete Carroll analyzed the roster. I think Pete Carroll's forgotten more about football than we'll ever know. But Pete Carroll had an idea of how he wanted the Raiders to win last year. He wanted to play veterans. He wanted to play players out of position. The offensive line, guys played out of position because he thought they were better in practice and better in film study. So he wanted to move offensive pieces around on the line, which wasn't a good fit. One of the big things I think I want to see now is I want to see Kubiak come in here, establish with Spidek who are the starters. By next week, figure out who are the core starters. There's not many who are locks. It's A.J. Cole, Max Crosby, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Colton Miller when healthy, right? Then you start looking around. Who is a guaranteed starter? Is Isaiah Palomalo a guaranteed starter? I would say no. Is Caillou Blue Kelly or Darian Porter? No. But they're going to have an opportunity to compete and play in this league. And I wonder how that process is going to play out underneath a Super Bowl coach's son in Clint Kubiak. I mean, again, I can't wait to interview him and talk to him about his years with John Elway after seeing that John Elway documentary. A couple of people in our chat here are asking me about Jackson Powers Johnson. Look, I don't know what happened with Jackson Powers Johnson. Clearly, the former regime did not think he was capable to start week in and week out, obviously at the center position and even at the guard position. We weren't in those meetings. We weren't in the weight room. We weren't there for the conditioning drills. We don't know what happened. But I think it was a mistake. I think that Jackson Powers Johnson, the Remington Award winner out of Oregon, an All-American, should have been left alone to play center. And if it turned out that he couldn't play center every day for whatever reason and they didn't like it, well, they had the right as the coaches to go in a different direction. I just never loved that. And I wonder what's happening with JPJ now as he's coming off an injury and he'll be 100% and how he can help the team out. All right, we'll come back on the other side and bring it home the rest of the way. Open lines for phones now. I got no more guests the rest of the day. I'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio tonight from here, Radio Row, from 8 to 11 p.m. So if you want to get in right now, give me your vibe. Here's a good topic. Let me hear from some people in the Bay Area. I have returned to San Francisco, the city by the Bay. I'd love to hear from some San Franciscans, some guys from the town, Oakland, San Leandro, Marin, wherever you are. Let's get a couple of people to check in. 702-365-9200. All right.
What the
Oh, thank you.
That's the.
Oh, that's this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get out of your way here, and then the stream. Thanks, everybody. I'm checking out. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have the audio all better. Promise you. Okay.
Okay. See you.